I come to you with a bizarre one. Definitely a bizarre one. This is, we were sitting on stream, as you can probably see, but I like to have Zealand's chat up sometimes. Hold on. There we go. Not suspicious at all. Anyways, we're sitting on stream, obviously an entirely separate stream than Zealand, and discussing various Champions League eventualities. And then this headline just pops up. Barcelona defender Mappy Leon banned for 2 matches for inappropriately touching opponent. Now, I'm a curious guy. I am. But I don't feel like you need to be a curious person to to have to click on this. It's a wire report from Reuters. And Mappy Leon's a player for Barcelona, whatever it is, Feminine or what have you, like Barcelona on the women's side, obviously. And she is already serving this suspension. I didn't know it at the time, but she has actually already served one of the 2 games of the suspension for this illicit act. But as any normal human being, I decided that I would click on this little wire report from Reuters because I just had to know what happened. This is what happened. Barcelona defender Mappy Leon has been handed a 2-match ban, we know that, for inappropriately touching Espanyol defender Daniela Caracas during the Catalan derby in February. The BBC reported on Wednesday. Right, we know most of that. Leon was accused of violating Caracas's intimacy. All right. What the fuck? Like, how is this how is this a thing? I didn't know that we could possibly go here in terms of on-field incidents. I don't know. Maybe I'm just uneducated in this, but I don't know of any on-field incidents. Obviously, Luis Rubiales was on the field, but after the match, where we were talking about violating somebody's intimacy here. Now, obviously, this is translated, right? So the reason that they're using the word intimacy is probably because of the Spanish way to describe what's happening here. And this happened on February 10th, which part of me, I'm kind of amazed I'm hearing about it now. This was 2 months ago, right? And it took a while for it to be reviewed and assessed, but I'm stunned I didn't hear about it until now. And the only reason this was really made into a thing, by the way, is because Espanyol went around and made a giant stink about it, right? Which, as you're going to see, deservedly so, right? They went around, they made a big old mess, or not a mess, but they broke some stuff, they got some people's attention, and they got this whole incident reviewed. But this was not something that happened yesterday, it's something that happened 2 months ago. This is the description of the incident. After appearing to inappropriately touch the Espanyol defender in the groin area while saying something to her as they lined up inside the box for a set piece, a mere 15 minutes after kickoff. The saying something to her we're going to get into later. That's more conspiracy theory ridden. But the actual touching, there's video. Espanyol expressed their total discontent and condemnation of Leon's activities and backed their Colombian defender. Liga F did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment. And the 29-year-old, that would be Mappy Leon, denied the allegations, saying there was no contact with her private parts. I'm going to go out there on a limb because there is video evidence here and say, girl, you're wrong. Homegirl, you are wrong. There was, in fact, contact with the private parts. I saw it with my own eyes, as you will, as well. At no time did I, nor was it my intention to infringe upon the intimacy of my fellow professional, Daniela Caracas. Right, obviously that's a statement that's going to be authored by the club and approved by everybody before it freaking goes out. Leon served the first match ban last weekend, and so, like I said, currently serving the ban, which is important because Barcelona is 4 points clear of Real Madrid in Liga F at the moment. So this is like a very important suspension for literally violating the intimacy of an opponent. But without further ado, this is the video clip. It's 6 seconds. Daniela Caracas is obviously the Espanyol player. If you didn't know that they're wearing the stripes, Barcelona is going with the all-black jersey, red Spotify logo. And it starts with, a little like normal jostling. I would describe this as normal jostling on a set piece. A nice chest to shoulder, kind of, I'm here, you're not going any further. Square up, bitch. Like, yeah, normal defender behavior, right? This is just what happens in these situations. Now, Mappy Leon then looks at Daniela Caracas, and you can see the wheels turning. This is where this story gets so interesting to me. And there's actually a similar story from the past that this kind of reminds me of once I broke this down and kind of watched a couple times, right? Is Daniela Caracas is getting physical, but this is generally normal video behavior. Generally normal, video defender behavior. Video. On video, allegedly, according to X, all right? No, really, pay attention. Talking to me, not you. This is not so out of pocket. And she's looking for a way to respond. Because in any world of trash talk and kind of physical competitive nature, you're going to want a way to respond. You're going to want a way to respond to this. This is a situation that you're going to want to respond to. Because, getting physical, you want to make sure that she knows you're not taking that. So what option does Mappy Leon go for? Obviously, you kind of already know. But there are other options here. A little shoulder check, a little chest bump, a little, knee to the thigh. Like there's so many, a little shake and bake, a little shove, like whatever you want. There's so many normal, non-violating options here. But Mappy Leon instead does this. Just a good old-fashioned cup check. Why? Why? What's the point? Now, if you're wondering, yeah, the 2-game suspension is absolutely deserved. And claiming that she didn't make any contact with her private parts, which, look, anytime you're releasing a statement about how you didn't make any contact with her private parts, you're losing the battle, right? That's already a bad spot to be in. You're already in a bad you're already in a bad position, okay? And when there's video evidence, you probably shouldn't just say that, okay? Now, based off what I read, I thought it was worse. I thought this was like some actual sort of sexual molestation that was happening on the field. That being said, this is obviously not okay. Walk around your local town square and do this to somebody and see how quickly you end up in jail. Deservedly. You can't just walk around cup checking everybody. I would be uncomfortable if somebody did this to me. I would be uncomfortable doing it to somebody else. And that should be like the general understanding amongst people in society, right? And if there is something like that exists, you probably shouldn't be doing it on a football pitch, right? Like if there's something that if you are doing it to somebody walking around the town square that doesn't involve the ball, right? Because obviously you're not slide tackling grandmas that are trying to go pick up their groceries, that would get you arrested, although that's perfectly fine as long as you get the zucchinis first. Right? Like it's legal. You're not going to get a card for it. You're just going to, get sent to jail and be judged by society, which is all fair. But if you're away from the ball and you're doing something that you couldn't do to a normal human being in a town square, you shouldn't be doing it. Particularly when it involves, that. Just that in particular. It's not okay. But what did this remind me of? It reminds me of the Luis Suarez situation. Because you can see, when you're watching this video, you see Mappy Leon assess the situation. Luis Suarez and his biting was the same thing without the sexually violating element, right? Where he gets bumped. And in his brain, you enter into that mode where you're kind of on instinct working out how to respond. You are working out what you're going to do. You're working out like... How am I going to send a message back that I'm not going to settle for this? And for some reason, Luis Suarez's brain shot back out. I'm going to bite him. I'm going to bite that fucking dude right on the shoulder. And this feels like the same thing. Because I understand the situation Mappy Leon is in, trying to come up with a way to respond to this. But for some reason, her brain spits out the exact wrong answer, which is cup check. Why? I have no idea. I do know that a 2-match suspension in the middle of a title race is a good way to send a message, and this does not look like an incident that after a 2-match suspension, Mappy Leon is going to go and do again, right? This looks like just kind of some sort of weird knee-jerk reaction where you're like, I'm going to try this. This is going to mess with him. No, don't do that, all right? How about you don't? But I think, I don't think Mappy Leon's going to be a serial offender in this particular department. But then there's the question of what was said. Because something is said kind of right here after that happens. And then she goes with like the normal shove, body contact. We're going to jostle until the cows come home or the ball is delivered. And that's where there's this article. I don't really trust this article. It's not very well translated, and the sources that it provides are according to several users on social networks. But people are trying to figure out what this girl said, and some people on social media are speculating that she said, "Do you have a dick?" Which, I mean, I guess you know the answer at this point because you fucking grabbed her. Which you shouldn't be doing, right? But again, that's according to several users on social networks. So I'm really just including that in the video because if you see that, or if somebody flies into the comments and says, actually, what she said, there's no verified accounts of what she said at all. Daniela Caracas, who's the player that's on the receiving end of this incredibly bizarre, weird, uncomfortable incident, right? She has also not come out and been like, yeah, she said this and it was really mean and she should be punished more for saying that. No, Daniela Caracas actually didn't even make us think of it at the time and didn't really bring it up after the match because she didn't want to harm her team. So I give a lot of credit to Daniela Caracas for that, but you also shouldn't have to deal with people cup checking you while you're on the field. This is weird. The suspension is deserved, and that's the explanation behind the headline.